What's the meaning of this, Omalugo? I hear you have been wandering outside the palace walls without my knowledge. A man came here looking for you, claiming you spent days with him. Explain yourself.
Tears welled up in Omalugo's eyes as she attempted to tell her side of the story.
Father, I.
But before she could utter another word, King Akajiofor interrupted sternly.
Silence! I won't tolerate such behavior. You are not to leave this palace without my explicit consent. Do you understand?
Omalugo nodded, her heart heavy with the weight of false accusations and her father's disappointment. As she left the king's chamber, she crossed paths with Asadia, the queen. Mockery danced in the queen's eyes as she sneered. In the heart of Ndike kingdom, the blind princess Omalugo bore the weight of her affliction with grace. Her days were shadowed by the cruel mistreatment inflicted upon her by her stepmother Asadia and the stepsister Wanlecha. Despite being the first daughter of King Akajiofor, Omalugo found herself relegated to the status of a slave in her own father's palace. Omalugo's mother, the first wife of the king, had passed away during childbirth, leaving the blind princess in the care of a father who cherished her deeply. King Akajiofor, however, unknowingly allowed darkness to creep into his daughter's life when he remarried Asadia, a woman who harbored resentment and jealousy in her heart. Asadia and Wanlecha's malevolence knew no bounds. They exploited Omalugo's blindness, subjecting her to relentless hard labor and treating her as if she were less than human. Whenever the king was away, their cruelty escalated, reaching its peak in the absence of his protective gaze. Despite the hardship, Omalugo maintained her silence, unwilling to burden her beloved father with the knowledge of her suffering. She masked her pain, pretending all was well upon his return, for fear of causing strife in the royal household. King Akajiofor, oblivious to the injustice befalling his cherished daughter, continued to shower Omalugo with love and affection whenever he was present. Little did he know the extent of the treachery transpiring behind his back. In the quiet courtyard of Ndike Kingdom, Omalugo's gentle voice echoed as she called for her personal maid.
Adobe, Adobe, where are you?
She pleaded, standing in front of her humble hut. Silence lingered, and Omalugo's worry deepened. Just then, the malicious laughter of Wanlecha, her stepsister, pierced the air. Wanlecha approached, feigning concern. "What do you need, Omalugo?" she asked with a deceptive sweetness.
I need Adobe to assist me.
Omalugo replied, her voice tinged with vulnerability. "Oh, your precious maid? Well, she's not yours anymore. She serves me now. You will have to manage on your own." Confused and hurt, Omalugo hesitated.
But I need help. Can't you assist me?
Wanlecha smiled, turned wicked as she led Omalugo towards a local bench. "Of course, dear stepsister. Sit here." As Omalugo lowered herself onto what she believed was the bench, she found herself crashing to the ground, the chair deliberately removed by Wanlecha. Omalugo winced in pain, tears streaming down her face. She cried, "Why would you do this?" Wanlecha laughed heartlessly. "You are nothing but a burden. Get used to it. Your personal maid serves me now, and you are on your own." Heartbroken and humiliated, Omalugo called out for help. "Someone please help me." Wanlecha, indifferent to her suffering, mocked her further. "Good luck finding someone who cares." With that, Wanlecha callously walked away, leaving Omalugo alone on the cold ground. In the distance, The walls of the palace seemed to echo the princess's cries, unheard by those who could bring an end to her torment. Kelechi's return to the village brought a glimmer of hope to Omalugo's dreary existence. As Kelechi entered the king's palace to visit her childhood friend, she was shocked to find Omalugo in a state of sadness, looking unkempt and hungry.
Omalugo, what happened to you?
Kelechi exclaimed, concern etched on her face. Omalugo sighed, her voice carrying the weight of her struggles.
It's been a difficult time, Kelechi. My stepmother and stepsister have made my life unbearable.
Anger flashed in Kelechi's eyes.
I can't believe they would treat you like this. I will confront them and put an end to this injustice.
Fearful of the consequences, Omalugo pleaded.
No, Kelechi, please don't. The queen will make things worse for both of us. I can't bear to see you suffer because of me, please.
Reluctantly, Kelechi agreed, though sadness lingered in her eyes.
Fine, but this isn't right. They can't treat you like this.
Omalugo, grateful for Kelechi's concern, reached out to her friend.
Thank you for caring, but I don't want more trouble. Just being here with me is enough.
Kelechi helped Omalugo up and led her to her house outside the palace walls. She freshened Omalugo up and provided a nourishing meal. As they sat together, memories of their joyful childhood flooded back, pushing away the harsh reality of the present.
I missed you, Kelechi. Your return is like a ray of sunshine in my dark days.
Omalugo confessed, tears welling up in her eyes. Kelechi smiled warmly.
I will always be here for you, Omalugo. We will find a way to make things better. I promise.
In that moment, surrounded by the echoes of their shared laughter, Omalugo felt a flicker of hope reignite in her heart. She thanked Kelechi for being a true friend and a beacon of light in her time of need. In the dimly lit chamber of King Akajiofo, Omalugo's heart sank as she faced her father's wrath. His voice filled with anger. He accused her of leaving the palace without permission, citing the tales spun by her deceitful stepmother and stepsister.
What's the meaning of this, Omalugo? I hear you have been wandering outside the palace walls without my knowledge. A man came here looking for you, claiming you spent days with him. Explain yourself.
Tears welled up in Omalugo's eyes as she attempted to tell her side of the story.
Father, I.
But before she could utter another word, King Akajiofo interrupted sternly.
Silence! I won't tolerate such behavior. You are not to leave this palace without my explicit consent. Do you understand?
Omalugo nodded, her heart heavy with the weight of false accusations and her father's disappointment. As she left the king's chamber, she crossed paths with Asadiya, the queen. Mockery danced in the queen's eyes as she sneered. Look at what you brought upon yourself, blind princess. Your antics will only bring shame to this royal family. Feeling the stench of humiliation, Omalugo tried to hold back tears.
I haven't done anything wrong.
She whispered, but Asadiya pushed her away carelessly. That night, within the confines of her room, Omalugo wept, her cries echoing through the silent corridors of the palace. The cold walls seemed to offer no solace as she grappled with the injustice and cruelty that surrounded her. No one came to console her, and the weight of loneliness pressed upon her fragile shoulders. The darkness of the palace mirrored the turmoil within Omalugo's heart as she questioned the fairness of a world that seemed determined to strip away every ounce of happiness she had left. Under the oppressive shadow of the palace walls, Kelechi, fueled by righteous anger, approached to visit Omalugo once more. However, her path was obstructed by Princess Wanlecha, who stood as an unwavering guardian at the entrance.
You are not welcome here. Leave and never return.
Wanlecha declared with a disdainful sneer. Kelechi, unyielding, retorted.
Your cruelty won't go unnoticed. The gods will bring justice for what you have done to Princess Omalugo.
Infuriated by Kelechi's bold words, one later, seated with humiliation, she rushed back into the palace and reported the incident to her mother, Queen Asadia. In response, the queen, equally enraged, commanded the guards.
Seize that insolent girl, Kelechi. Teach her a lesson she won't forget.
As the guards apprehended Kelechi, the courtyard echoed with her defiant words.
The gods will judge you for your wickedness.
Omalugo, learning of Kelechi's impending punishment, rushed to the scene. With desperation in her voice, she pleaded.
Please, spare my friend. She meant no harm, please.
Her pleas, however, fell on deaf ears. The guards, under the queen's command, subjected Kelechi to a merciless flogging. Tears streamed down Omalugo's face as she listened to Kelechi's cries of pain.
Stop, please stop.
She begged, but the brutality continued. When Kelechi was finally released, battered and bruised, Omalugo's heart ached for her friend. That night, unable to bear the weight of guilt and sorrow, Omalugo decided to seek out Kelechi. With her walking stick in hand, Omalugo quietly slipped out of the palace, evading the watchful eyes of the guards. The night air whispered tales of rebellion as Omalugo embarked on a journey to find her friend, determined to ensure Kelechi's well-being after the merciless punishment inflicted upon her. As Omalugo walked alone in the enveloping darkness, her walking stick tapping the uneven village path, she heard a voice, pierced the quiet night. A man, strong and commanding, revealed himself as Ikechukwu, a great warrior from her village who had been away since childhood, honing his skills in martial arts.
Princess Omalugo, where are you headed in the dead of night?
Ikechukwu inquired, his voice filled with a mix of concern and surprise. Startled, Omalugo halted and asked,
Who goes there? Identify yourself.
with a confident tone, Ikechukwu introduced himself.
I am Ikechukwu, a warrior returning to our village after many years of training. Now tell me, what brings you out here alone?
Omalugo, grateful for his unexpected company, shared her heart-wrenching story.
I am trying to find my friend Kelechi's house. I couldn't bear to see her suffer because of me.
A realization dawned on Omalugo as she spoke.
Wait, Kelechi mentioned her brother Ikechukwu. Are you him?
Ikechukwu nodded.
Yes, Kelechi is my sister. Let me help you find your friend.
Together, guided by the sound of Omalugo's walking stick and Ikechukwu's steady steps, they navigated the labyrinthine part of the village. Omalugo expressed her gratitude.
Thank you, Ikechukwu. I thought I was alone in the darkness.
Ikechukwu reassured her.
You are not alone. We will find Kelechi together.
As they walked side by side, Omalugo found solace in Ikechukwu's presence. The night, once daunting, now had a glimmer of hope as they ventured towards Kelechi's house, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them. In the quiet hut of Kelechi, Omalugo and Ikechukwu found her, still in pain from the unjust flogging. Omalugo rushed to her side and embraced, tears mingling in their shared sorrow.
I'm so sorry, Kelechi. I never wanted any harm to come to you.
Omalugo whispered, holding her friend close. Kelechi, though still sore, managed a weak smile.
You have nothing to apologize for, Omalugo. We'll get through this together.
Ikechukwu, observing the heartfelt reunion, approached with a gentle smile.
I'm Ikechukwu, Kelechi's brother. It's a pleasure to meet you, Princess Omalugo.
Omalugo, touched by their warmth, replied.
Thank you, Ikechukwu. Your sister has been a true friend in my darkest hours.
They all gathered in the small hut, sharing stories, laughter, and a sense of camaraderie. The night unfolded with a newfound bond forming between them, providing solace and comfort that Omalugo had longed for. As they chat, Omalugo in the presence of her good friend, and her brother felt a deep sense of joy.
This is the best night of my life.
She admitted, her voice resonating with genuine happiness. Kelechi, with a smile in her face, responded.
I'm glad we could bring some joy to your heart, Omalugo.
As the night progressed, Omalugo forgot about the chaos awaiting her in the palace. The warmth of friendship and the laughter shared in that humble hut became a sanctuary, shielding her from the harsh realities of her royal life. In the midst of their shared joy, Omalugo secretly harbored a wish, a hope that one day she would be able to see the face of her dear friend Kelechi. But for now, in the embrace of friendship, she found solace and a brief respite from the troubles that awaited her in the palace. Early the next morning, Omalugo, guided by Ikechukwu, stealthily returned to the palace without attracting any attention. Grateful for his help, Omalugo bid farewell to her newfound friend, and Ikechukwu vanished into the early morning shadows. As Omalugo slipped back into her hut, Princess Wanlecha, followed by Malice, rushed in with Queen Asadia and an anchored King Akajofo. Expecting to find Omalugo absent, they were surprised to see her peacefully sleeping on her bed.
She wasn't here all night, mother. I told you.
Wanlecha exclaimed, her frustration evident. King Akajofo's disappointment was palpable.
Enough of your lies, one later. Stop spreading falsehoods about your sister.
Annoyed, the king left the hut, leaving Wanlecha bewildered. Queen Asadia, annoyed by her daughter's deceit, scolded her.
You need to stop this nonsense, Oneleer. Your lies are causing more harm than good.
Wanlecha, unwilling to admit defeat, insisted.
I saw her outside the palace. I know what I saw.
The queen, growing impatient, retorted.
Enough. Your imagination is playing tricks on you. Leave your sister alone.
Left alone in the hut, Wanlecha stood in confusion, pondering the events that had unfolded. Meanwhile, Omalugo, feigning sleep, listening to the exchange, her heart heavy with the weight of her sister's lies and the ongoing turmoil within the palace. Princess Wanlecha, fueled by resentment, ventured into the village, her royal presence a stark contrast to the humble surroundings. As she walked through the dusty paths, she crossed paths with Ikechukwu the warrior. Halting her steps, she approached him with an air of arrogance.
I am Princess Oneleer, the one and only princess of this kingdom. Who are you?
Ikechukwu, unfazed by her title, looked at her with a steady gaze.
I know who you are, Princess Wanlecha.
Wanlecha, accustomed to being revered, raised an eyebrow.
Well, I hope you know your place.
But Ikechukwu, unyielding, spoke with conviction.
I also know how you and your mother treat Princess Omalugo. It's time to amend your ways.
Anger flashed in Wanlecha's eyes.
How dare you speak to me like this? Do you not know who I am?
Ikechukwu, undeterred, responded.
I know exactly who you are, and I won't stand by as you mistreat others. Omalugo is my friend, and Kelechi is my sister. Your actions won't go unnoticed.
Enraged, Wanlecha retorted.
You don't know what I am capable of.
Ikechukwu, with a firm resolve, replied.
I don't care. Your cruelty won't be tolerated. It's time for you to change.
As he turned to leave, Wanlecha, sitting with anger, ran back to the palace, her mind filled with the confrontation. Ikechukwu, having delivered his message, continued his journey through the village, leaving behind a princess forced to confront the consequences of her actions. Princess Wanlecha stormed into the palace, her face flushed with anger. She recounted the encounter with Ikechukwu to her mother. Queen Asadiya, she grew equally incensed, ready to issue commands to her guards. The queen was interrupted by Wanlecha.
No, mother. Don't. I like Ikechukwu. I want him to be my man.
Wanlecha declared, a sly smile playing on her lips. The queen, Taken aback, questioned her daughter.
Are you sure, Oneleer? This is an unusual request.
One later nodded confidently.
I'm sure, mother. I've never felt this way before.
With a reluctant sigh, Queen Asadia agreed. Later that night, Omalugo, lost in her thoughts, drifted into a dream. The familiar figure from her childhood dreams appeared once more. This time, he spoke to her.
Fear not, Omalugo. Your sight will be restored soon.
He assured her. In the dream, Omalugo felt a surge of hope and anticipation. As the figure vanished, she awoke with a sense of wonder. Reflecting on the dream, she prayed for the fulfillment of the promise, hoping that her long-awaited wish to see would soon become a reality. In the glow of anticipation, Ikechukwu, Kelechi and their people arrived at the palace to seek Omalugo's hand in marriage. Omalugo, having already agreed to the union, awaited the joyous moment. However, upon their arrival, the queen and Oneleer, fueled by resentment, locked Omalugo in her hut, attempting to sabotage the marriage. Inside the hut, Omalugo shouted for help, but her pleas fell on deaf ears. The guest, growing impatient, waited for the bride-to-be to make her appearance. Kelechi, concerned for her friend, attempted to go check on Omalugo, but the queen insisted that Oneleer fetch her sister, claiming Omalugo was disinterested. As the tension escalated, Omalugo, with newfound sight, miraculously appeared without her walking stick. The crowd gasped in astonishment. Omalugo looked at Ikechukwu and exclaimed.
You are the man from my dreams.
Kelechi, overwhelmed with emotion, rushed to Omalugo.
You can see, Omalugo.
She asked in disbelief. Omalugo nodded, and the king, witnessing this miraculous event, approached with a mix of astonishment and joy. Ikechukwu, beaming with happiness, realized the significance of this moment. Amidst the joyous celebration, the queen and Oneleer, sitting with anger, left the king's chamber. However, their departure did not deepen the spirit of those reveling in the newfound happiness of Omalugo. The marriage ceremony proceeded, and Omalugo, now able to see, narrated the injustice she endured to her father, asking for forgiveness on behalf of the queen and Oneleer. In the spirit of reconciliation, the queen and her daughter sought forgiveness, and a newfound harmony enveloped the kingdom. They lived in peace and happiness until the demise of the king. In the wake of his passing, Ikechukwu, ascending the throne, became the new ruler of the land, ensuring that the kingdom continued to thrive in an era of peace and unity. The story of Omalugo imparts the valuable lesson that kindness and compassion triumph over cruelty and deceit. Despite facing mistreatment, Omalugo's resilience, coupled with the support of true friends like Kelechi and Ikechukwu, led to her ultimate triumph. It teaches us that standing against injustice, extending forgiveness, and embracing empathy can pave way for healing, reconciliation, and a brighter future. Additionally, the story emphasizes the transformative power of genuine friendship and the possibility of redemption, even in the face of deep-seated animosity. Thanks for watching.